Hello, you're very welcome back to the last in a six-part series that we've been running as an initiative from the European Commission called Managing Your Tourism Business Online, Practice, Innovation and Excellence. Well, very sadly, this is the last in this pilot series. We've had a great time seeing so many different case studies and hearing from so many different experts. And we've been helping businesses get to grips with digital. So in this last series, we're going to be talking about mobile. Before we kick off with that, I'm going to run through some of the key things you need to know about today's program. So first of all, I'm Nick Hall. I'm your host for today, and I've been running us through the last 5 episodes. You can tweet along and join the conversation, and we really actively encourage you to do this. You can use the hashtag #MyTourismBiz, and this hashtag we will actually use to pull together all of the questions, comments and answers, and actually get people to share their ideas with each other, and we'll have a discussion and look at some of the questions later on. So if you do have a burning question on mobile or any other topic to do with digital for that matter, do send it to us, use that hashtag, and we will read that out later on today. Another thing we've added in the last few episodes is this Back to Chapters button. You can see it now in the top right-hand corner of your screen. If you're watching this live, you can't click on it, but if you're watching it afterwards, you can actually click on it and navigate to your favorite part of the program. So with so many great guests and case studies lined up, you should definitely click on that to find what interests you and skip to the most relevant part for your business. And of course, today we're going to be doing, as we always do, helping tourism SMEs to succeed. We're going to be getting to grips with mobile, and we're going to be talking about how to start thinking about planning strategically and thinking about the place for mobile in your business. So let's get on with the program and introduce to you what we have coming up. I'm going to start by hearing from our business, which we've been mentoring. Laura Bujalance is here once again with us in the studio from Surya Retreats. So we're going to see how she's been getting along throughout the whole series. And then I'm going to be introducing Mobile Fundamentals, giving you a snapshot about the key things that you should be considering in mobile, and also talking about some of those big figures when we see people moving towards smartphones in huge numbers. I'll be doing an interview with a small business case study from a guy called Davide Dalpiaz. He's from the MUSE Science Museum in Italy. It's a great case study about how they've been using tablet. And then my colleague Ramona Wagner will be with us talking about how to take baby steps to success in mobile. And then before we end today's program, we have a few more case studies. So we have Peter Symons from Ojoo. They've been doing great stuff in gamification. We have Daan, Richard and Björn from Profits Agency. Brilliant stuff in experience and creating brilliant moments within a destination. And we have also a case study from Tripomatic from Lukáš, Nevosád. Followed by viewer questions. So we have a lot to get through today. So without any further ado, I'm going to move straight on to our studio guest, Laura Bujalance, to see how she's been getting on within her business. So Laura, it's great to have you back with us, and I think also there's a bit of sadness in the team here today because we know that we won't see you for a while. It's been great having you with us throughout this 6-part series. I guess looking back over the series, what are the key things that you take away from all of the different case studies, the different topics that we've actually covered?
Well, thank you. Thank you again for having me for this last event. I think one of the things I liked most of this series was the fact of seeing how many SMEs there are out there, and how everybody's pretty much facing the same challenges, and obviously also noticing that there's solutions for them. There's a lot of companies willing to help. There's also lots of free resources we can use, and that's really encouraging in a way when you're starting. I also really enjoyed, especially these sessions about like content and developing engagement with your customers, and I've learned a lot in these aspects.
So you've learned that you're not alone as a business struggling to get to grips with all of these things. I think when we were speaking earlier, you also learnt about experimentation and how important that is, just to also try things and see how they actually work for you. And you've done quite a bit of that, right?
Yeah, in this past 3 months, I've been pretty much doing a lot of trial and error in all the things we've been talking and covering in this sessions, and I've also started discovering a few government funded programs that help entrepreneurs in this journey.
So tell us a bit about that then. So you yourself have actually gone right out there and said, well, what support can I get to build some strong foundations within the business, right?
Yeah, as we were mentioning, when you're on your own starting your business, you're alone, and you don't know a lot of this, like maybe like legal taxing things and stuff. So I've discovered that on my side at least, the regional Catalan government has several programs for entrepreneurs that have trainings. Then there's also advising advisors helping.
Tell us about the help that you've decided to go for.
Yeah, this course I'm taking, it's basically giving you all the basics on building a company, from all the legal. That's been like one of my main struggles from day one. Legal aspects, taxing, building the famous business plan, also marketing techniques, a little bit of everything. So far, I've taken a few classes already for a few weeks, and I'm really happy about that.
That's great, and I know that when we started, you were really at the very early stage. You said, well, I don't have a business plan. I've got a lot of licensing things that I need to sort of get to grips with, and I think in particular in the region that you're in, it's fairly complex. The kind of all the sort of certificates and everything you need to have. Yeah. It's something that you've had to really work out during this process.
Yeah, so you really need to find somebody who knows about your sector, because for me and from what we're talking about here, the tourism sector, there's a lot of licenses and a lot of certificates you need to achieve in order to carry out your business. So,
and I guess the challenge that you've had is that yourself as a business in Catalonia are going to have one set of problems, whereas a business in, say, the Czech Republic or in Italy will have a completely different set of regulations and licenses.
So it's really important to find this people who know about your sector and local support, locally, and I'm sure there is.
I think that's a really good piece of advice, and I think what we can see across the board with all local government now is that there's a massive range of programs that are available for small businesses, and maybe they don't realize that they exist sometimes, so they should really go online, ask for help, look to see where they can get some support, as you have. Yeah,
and attend talks and business networking events and all those things, because there's always somebody willing to help and willing to direct you where to go and where to ask.
So you can never have enough knowledge, right?
No, exactly. Yeah.
So today's topic is about mobile. I guess maybe just in a nutshell, what do you think mobile means to your business?
Well, I think from what we also covered in the previous events, when I think about mobile, I think of immediacy and engagement while on the retreats, while on the trips I'm organizing. So that
in-trip opportunity, the fact that everybody's on their mobile and that's where you're going to engage them.
I guess.
Great, okay. Well, I've already got some ideas for you.
Okay.
But we're going to let you see now all of the case studies and see what ideas you generate during today's program.
Okay, good.
And we're going to hear from you later on. So I'm going to head over now and talk about mobile fundamentals. So now I'm going to run you through some of the fundamentals to consider when talking about mobile. So I'm going to look at the changing mobile behavior, the mobile experience and what that really means, and how it fits in the overall marketing mix. And I'm going to talk about technology, penetration, marketing, and payments. So we've got a lot to cover. It's a huge topic. I'm only going to be able to touch the surface, but I hope I will be able to do that and give you all the guidance that you need as a business to start thinking about mobile. And of course, like this guy, Michael, your business is something that is built on your passions. And it's really important that when you think about that, you put yourself at the center of a very holistic strategy. And you actually ask yourself, am I, as a business, adopting a holistic strategy in everything I do? How am I taking customers through that cycle from awareness right through to sharing? All of these different stages are really important, and you need to make sure that you have a completely holistic strategy. We've seen big developments such as storytelling, the need to rely on suggestions from lots of different perspectives in the planning phase, reviews, and of course the opportunity to create brilliant moments that can be shared using hashtags. And of course mobile is relevant at every single one of those stages, not just the in-trip experience. And to look at how important mobile is, let's just look at a few numbers. 77% of mobile searches are carried out at home and at work. So what we can see is that mobile is being used all the time, wherever people are. 17% of research is done on the go. People are actually using mobile to find out information as they're traveling around. The majority of mobile searches are occurring in the afternoon and evening. But we also see that if you look at web traffic for mobile, we see very clear peaks, especially around the commuting hours. We see that 27% of mobile searches result in some form of conversion. That doesn't necessarily mean a sale, but it might mean leading on to another action. So it's important to think about how you receive your customers in mobile and lead them to the next step. Think about the fact that more than half of smartphone users are accessing social media daily, and social media has now become something that is largely happening in mobile devices. 87% of travelers are using a mobile phone whilst they're on holiday, and 53% of consumers use smartphones for aspirational research. So it's being used very much to generate interest as well as practical information. When it comes to mobile booking, 27% of 18 to 30-year-olds are using their phone while they're on holiday. We're seeing that roaming costs are coming down, so it's being used more and more, but there's still a long way to go there. Whilst on a trip, 42% of travelers are using smartphones or tablets to look for additional information. It's important to consider that people's trips are not always fully made up before they travel, and that there's an opportunity there with smartphones to help make up those final plans within their trip. Millennials, that's people under 30, are much more likely to use mobile devices to plan and book travel. They're much more comfortable doing so. And mobile devices are used as an aid for planning a trip and also experiencing a place. It's important to consider and to make sure, actually, that your website is optimized for mobile. And of course, it's important to think about how the booking process can make things simple and effectively better by removing steps. Simplicity and user experience are fundamental for a great booking process. Moving on to the mobile experience. Optimizing websites and experience for mobile is really, really important. It's important to understand that a non-mobile optimized website or a badly designed app can actually damage the reputation of a brand, and that's not something you want to have. 47% of consumers actually stop dealing with a brand altogether if they have a bad experience. So it can really create a very bad negative aspect in your business if you don't have a brilliant mobile experience. And for people who only know of you through mobile, you have to consider that this is their entire understanding of your brand. So if that's not a good one, that actually damages your business. It's important to think about the need to have attractive and easy to use websites, particularly thinking about visual sign language and colors being really important in mobile. Remember that the first impression is really important. You have about 3 seconds to engage your visitor, so that's not long in which you have to make an impression, and that's about the time that they will decide whether to stay or whether to leave. Loading speed impacts the mobile experience as well, so try and make sure that it's as light as possible and reduce that really heavy content to a minimum. And of course, immediacy and the context of the user's surroundings need to be really considered carefully. So make sure that you're providing the right information in that mobile device, depending on where they're going to be using it. When it comes to mobile penetration, how many people are using mobile, it's important to understand that this is still growing massively as people really move towards taking smartphones and actually increasing the smartphones they have to better devices. So we see at the moment that there's more than 2 billion smartphone devices in existence. That's a pretty incredible figure considering how recent they came onto the market. And we see that this just continues to increase, and particularly in the travel industry, travelers are using smartphones in their trips more and more. Mobile is triggering a lot more real-time interactions through social conversations, but also between consumers and businesses. And there's a massive move from mobiles and tablets to now phablets. That's bigger devices, which are sort of somewhere between the two. So there's a lot more opportunities to provide rich media and have good engagement on mobile because of the increased resolutions and screen sizes that we're starting to see. It's important to understand that for SMEs, it's very, very important that they provide access to free Wi-Fi for their visitors. Otherwise, there's no chance they can engage with mobile, and also people expect that. And it's important to understand the importance of having a very good quality internet connection and speed. This is not just about getting people to engage with you, but it's also about having and providing the experience that people actually expect when they travel now. To touch on some of the key aspects of mobile technology, you will have heard of some of these and maybe not some of the others. Beacons is something that people are talking more and more about. It is exactly what it says it is. They're very cheap and easy to install. They can run off battery power. And beacons can be attached anywhere within a destination, within a business, within an environment. And they push information through to a mobile application. So this is great if you have a mobile app and you want to actually provide people with information as they walk around. It uses Bluetooth technology, and it actually allows information to be pushed within very close proximity, so you know where your visitors are and provide the right information based on that. It's also something that can work offline. QR codes is something that's been around for years and years. It's actually one of the earliest ways to engage people through mobile. It still has a very important role, and there's a lot that you can actually do with something very simple, such as a QR code. Linking people to a website, providing people with contact details, linking them to events information, or even providing them with rich content, such as video, simply by providing a link where it exists somewhere else. NFC is also something that we're hearing more and more about. NFC is used for so many different things, in particular for mobile payments. It's a great way of transferring data and information between two devices held in close proximity. We see this used a lot in advertising, but it's still in its infancy in terms of where it's going. And augmented reality is also something that's not new, but it has a lot of potential if you want to create very rich context-aware environments where you can actually layer information over, say, the camera lens. And there's some really great examples of how that's been done. Mobile marketing. So 49% of interactive marketing professionals surveyed in 2013 were using mobile analytics. This is really low when you consider how many people use web analytics in general. The measurement of mobile behavior and traffic is still not widespread. There's certainly a need to improve the use of maps and navigation, particularly in the travel context, and also to understand how important they are. Mobile usage is definitely pushing very fast towards mobile marketing, and we see a lot of very, very creative and innovative marketing solutions and advertising solutions emerging in this area. And also, this has been driven largely around social media platforms. So the social media platforms are creating great opportunities to do targeted advertising campaigns, whether that's through microblogging platforms or some of the other social media platforms. And a solid marketing strategy should really be considered when it comes to mobile to tap into the opportunities which are already in existence. But, of course, with anything, it's important to measure return on investment very carefully. And before we get to the end of this part, mobile payment is something you're going to hear much, much more about in the coming years. We're going to see the rise this year of a lot more mobile wallets and mobile payment solutions tapping into a range of different technologies. What this means for you as a business is that you should think about how you can facilitate mobile ticketing and mobile payment as it comes on board. And also understand that mobile payment is not just about people being able to pay for things at the counter or at the checkout, but it's also about making sure people can pay for things within your mobile site. And that's in particular importance to people who have the opportunity to sell to tourists who are already in a city. And think about the need to remove all of the hurdles and try and facilitate payments within 2 or 3 steps. So, key takeaways for this section. Mobile consumer behavior is changing very fast. Planning, booking, and payments are now being powered massively by mobile, and we're going to see a big shift happen even more in the coming year. Overall experience needs to be optimized around your brand for mobile, whether that's your website or whether that's other channels. Think about the opportunity for mobile to trigger interactivity in real time, to facilitate conversations between consumers and business. Also understand that you need to think about mobile strategically. So avoid a "we need an app" syndrome, and think about all of those different stages and where mobile has a role. And also think about tweaking and improving the mobile experience. And of course, beyond anything else, think about the importance of return on investment and making sure that you don't waste your money in this space. So let's go straight to a case study. We have a great case study from Davide Dalpiaz. He's from MUSE Museum in Italy, and they've been doing some brilliant things with iPads and the visitor experience. So let's hear what he had to say.
So I'm very pleased to be welcoming Davide Dalpiaz, who's actually the multimedia content manager at MUSE Museum, which is the Museum of Natural Sciences in Trento in Italy. So I'm very pleased to be welcoming you today to the final interview in the series, talking a lot about mobile and how you as a museum are actually using mobile to enhance the overall visitor experience. So maybe first of all, could you explain and present a little bit your business and also your role and yourself?
Yes, for me it's nice to meet you all. I'm very pleased to be here. So actually I'm sick at home, so you won't see any museum of science behind me, but maybe next time. So I'm part of what we call the scientific communication, in Italian mediatori culturali. It's some guys which take the information from our research departments. We have 7, and turn them into informations and issues for visitors. So that's something that has strong to do with communication of science. My specific area is the use of multimedia to do that. So audiovisual, interactive application, and so on. I'm actually a biologist with a PhD in animal biology, but in the time I more and more deal with film, movies, and audiovisuals, and now interaction.
Great. So what would you consider sort of the role and the importance of interactivity, multimedia as part of the museum? What change have you seen over the years?
Yes, really, it has a great importance, of course, in these years as more and more improving the use of this media to enhance the visitor experience. We know that digital media have a strong power to do that, and yes, it's something that has to do with stratification of communication. We have, as a science museum, a lot of concepts and data coming from our research departments, and it was simply too much to put that in our stable exhibitions. With digital media, you have the possibility to stratify this communication, to put all of this knowledge inside a device and let the visitor choose what he's more interested in. So stratification and communication and free choice of the visitor to access the specific content he is interested in.
So tell me a little bit more about the interactive mobile guide that you actually have, that I think your visitors can download onto their tablets, and I think also onto their mobile devices. What is part of the mobile interactive guide? Also, what are different technologies that you are using to really enhance the experience and also lay basically the digital content over the physical or the exhibition that you have?
Yes, since last July we have this media guide. We like to call it media guide instead of video guide because it works with a lot of medias. The name is Explora MUSE and is basically based on a mini iPad, so a tablet with much content inside. We developed this in collaboration with Trento Rise, which is the innovation agency of Trento, which is capable of financing such experimentations. And Graffiti was the company who won the call for this experimentation. So in 2 long years of work, we developed this Explora MUSE. Now it's given to our visitors, and it's very simple iPad mini. It is capable to understand where the visitor is inside the building, and we know that the indoor location is quite tricky point that in the last year many groups deal with. We use iBeacons, which are USB antennas, USB 4 antennas, copyrighted by Apple, and which is we have a net of I think 2,000 points with these iBeacons. So the visitor, the iPad that the visitor has, in any moment knows the position of the visitor, and it gives to the visitor more information about what is seeing in the museum. We have actually 2 functions. One is a guided tour. It's like a traditional audio guide with a telling voice that accompanies the visitor through steps and tells a story. We have the possibility to build as many stories as we want over through the museum, and the voice leads you from one step to another with short videos showing you the path you have to walk to change step, and then he tells you something about the objects, the concepts of the exhibition. One other function is free tour, guided tour. We have a free tour. You are free wandering through the museum, and when you approach an object, a table, an exhibit, an installation, you may automatically get more content. We went for iPad mini instead of smaller devices, because we strongly believe in the video language, and obviously to have a bigger monitor is a big enhancement in the experience of seeing videos of somebody telling you about objects, specimens, and concepts. We noticed that as we thought, the video language is much appreciated from visitors. They very much like to hear someone who is reliable, who is as a researcher, a guide of the museum, telling you a story instead of reading a written text.
Yeah, I can imagine that probably it's a completely new visitor experience for somebody using a tablet maybe for the first time, and being really able to look at the content with different perspectives, on different angles. I guess also it's great then because I guess maybe a family can actually bring the entire family with them, and there's always going to be something that's going to be interesting for everybody. So I guess it's really a smart move as well in terms of really making sure that you add value to their user experience. And as you said, it seems that it's definitely a positive experience from your end. So thank you very much, David, for your time. I know that you weren't feeling well, but we're very pleased that you still made it, and that we can actually showcase this to all of the other SMEs that are out there and who can learn from you. And hopefully you'll be on Twitter, so you might get the odd question. So thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you. Best regards from MUSE, Trento.
So really great insights there. I hope you were able to take away something that you can adopt within your business. So next we're going to hear from Peter Symons, founder of Ojoo, and he's been talking to me about gamification in travel. Let's see what he had to say. Pleased to be joined by Peter Symons, founder of Ojoo.com. Peter, thanks for joining me and talking to us about mobile and the importance in tourism. Why don't you start by just telling us a little bit about Ojoo and what you do?
Okay, thank you for inviting me. Ojoo, I've founded it a year ago. The problem we want to solve is that you see in a lot of cities and towns, you see a lot of tourists still using maps, or you see people playing games where they still have papers in their hand, or they are walking around with tour guides in a big bunch, in a big group. And the problem I found is that people have really good content, but they can't digitalize it since they don't have a tool to transform that content into an application that other tourists can use. And that's why we actually have built Ojoo. It's a tool where people can input content and we immediately transform it into an app so other people can use the tour or play the city game on a mobile device directly without having to use the internet.
So gamification is at the heart of your offering. Tell me a bit more about gamification. I think for many businesses, people who are not necessarily techies at heart, they may have sort of some misunderstandings about what we mean by gamification. So just tell us a bit about what it really means.
Well, I'm an educational scientist, and from there I started to use gamification as a way to teach and learn people a lot of things while playing. So that's actually in the core of Ojoo. If you just have a guided tour in a city, it's not really a game. So what we did is actually gamified it through different kind of features. The first thing is that we included a kind of a geocache formula where they have to find stuff. On each location we can add questions or other challenges, puzzles, find 7 differences in pictures, find an answer, find a hidden treasure. People can find those things and we make it more of a game. So it's basically features that we have that gamify it. On the other hand, we have digital maps and Google Maps where we have playful navigation from one point to another. So people don't have to follow a guide or just run around in a town. No, with Ojoo, they can actually follow a GPS, a cool navigation from point to point, and we do everything automatically. And the last thing of gamification is that we add a lot of focus on leaderboards, scores, rewards that you can own, not just by checking in, as you had on Foursquare, for example, but you really have to do something. You have to answer a riddle, you have to complete a puzzle, and then you get rewarded and you get scores. All those things are included automatically in Ojoo. If you just add content and questions, then we do all the rest automatically.
So I can see how there is a great opportunity to make the experience more interactive and really bring out the detail of the visitor experience in a rich way through mobile and through making that a fun and sort of playful way to work. But tell us a bit about what are the commercial benefits? Why should a business bother to even think about this? What are they going to get from it?
Yeah, 2 things immediately come onto my mind. First of all, for commercial businesses, what do we want to offer is a nice, cool experience for their visitors and users, an extra layer over what already exists in the real world. So we actually want to add a kind of virtual world, virtual competition, virtual game on top of what they already have to offer. So in that way, they can add a new layer, a new experience that's cheap and affordable and easy to create for their visitors. And on the other hand, another commercial thing is that they can completely customize it. If you have to build an application for your destination, you most of the time go to a developer who builds something custom, and that's quite expensive. What we did is we created one system where people can easily transform it into completely customized app that looks like their brand, that looks like how they want to present themselves. And that's actually a very affordable way to make an application and build an experience to what they offer already.
Okay, so it's very much about the visitor experience and actually looking at the product as a tourism provider and how to actually enrich that product and make it more exciting, more interesting for your visitors, which of course is important for marketing. So tell us a bit more about mobile, because obviously you're quite experienced in the whole mobile field. A lot of businesses battle with this conundrum of should they develop a mobile app or not. Tell us a bit about some of the kind of use case scenarios where you think mobile apps really serve a good purpose, and actually even perhaps more interesting, where you think mobile apps are not necessary or don't really add any value when we're talking about tourism.
Well, first thing, if I think about tourism and mobile apps, the first thing is, since we're living in Europe, is that roaming costs are very high. So it's useful if you build something for tourists that it can be used offline, since then you don't have any roaming costs. So that's something we solved from the first day, that people can use all the routes and the games offline. I'm also just only thinking mobile first, since people use it in tourism on their phone or on their tablet. They're on the route, so they're not bothering a Mac or a PC. So we've always been thinking mobile first. How we do it, or what we do, is actually making sure in the beginning that it works on all mobile devices, high-end and low-end, and it scales nicely, so that we can cover actually 90% of the market. If you look at the market, who's using or what operating system is used the most, it's Android. So there you can say we can go for Android. On the other hand, the revenue you get per user on Android is much lower than the revenues you get on iOS per user. So that really depends on what you want to offer. I do see a lot of apps who first start on Android, test their device, test their app, optimize it, and then transform it into an iOS app. But you can also do it the way around. If you want to, for example, make an iOS app first that you offer as a premium app where people have to pay for, and then optimize with another version for Android. It's a different strategy on how to roll out your application, but it has some implications. iOS users have high-end phones, they are willing to pay. On the other hand, Android users is a bigger group with much more devices. So it's mainly up to the strategy, what to implement first.
Okay, and in terms of the sort of content they should think about for mobile, would you advise mobile web and then move on to developing relevant mobile apps which meet the needs of your customers?
Well, I'm not a developer, so I can't answer it quite specifically. But the thing I learned is when you make it on mobile web, it's accessible for a lot of people, but with the disadvantage that people always have to be connected to the internet. So that's actually not optimal for tourism sector, in my opinion. And secondly, if you use a mobile version of the website, a lot of native stuff that you can use from the operating system, meaning, for example, Facebook connects and take pictures in your application or in your game, it's much harder to solve with a web app than creating a native app.
So if you really want to get the features and and engage people in a really rich way, native is the way to go.
Well, native is Unity isn't really native. It's a mixture. It's another engine where you can combine the best of native apps, but just making one code so it works on different devices. So I've not seen any technology that suited us better to deploy on many devices, on many platforms in one time over the Unity software that we're using.
Okay, great. Peter, thank you very much for sharing those insights with us. We look forward to catching up with you sometime in the future.
Okay, you're welcome.
now we'll be hearing a little bit more about mobile, baby steps to success. And there's a couple of things that we will focus on. On the one hand side, we'll focus on mobile strategy, also different objectives and messages that you might want to communicate through mobile, also your different target audiences, and we'll talk a little bit about insights on mobile content, the overall user experience, and also how can you actually measure performance on mobile, because that's of course also something that you as a business might want to think about. When we start with mobile strategy, there's a couple of approaches that you can take, but we consider the iterative mobile strategy approach as the most fitting one. And here you can see a diagram showcasing this approach. It has 6 steps in total, and we will now walk through each single step individually, look at them, and then also draw some overall recommendations of what should you consider at each stage along the strategy when you think about the different parts, because of course they do also interlink, and once you're through the circle once, you also might want to think about going through the strategy process again. So when thinking about goals and analysis, first of all, make sure you define the purpose of mobile in your business. So what do you want to achieve with it? Is it about generating leads? Would you rather have different offers, maybe 2-for-1 offers or happy hour offers pushed through onto your visitors' devices? Or do you just want to have a 2-way conversation and communication channel to engage with your visitors in a better way? So what do you want to get out of mobile? And also how are you actually going to achieve your different goals? So look at your competitors. So identify who your competitors are. Are they on mobile? What are they doing? And then now carry out the competitive analysis to really understand what they're doing currently in mobile, what you can learn from that, and also how your mobile solution should cater for that. So understand customers and also the user experience. So understand your audience and what they want to get out of mobile, because that's also really, really important when you think then about delivering different solutions to cater to that. Do some user research and also carry out some analytics based on the data that you have, maybe the traffic to your website. Are they coming from iOS devices? Are they coming mainly from Android devices? You can get some additional data about what different age groups there are, what journeys do they go through on your website, what are the different things they click on, what is the information they're looking for. Is it more about opening times, reviews or prices maybe into your attraction, or is it more about actually a lot of the content, maybe the blog articles that might be quite interesting for Laura as well. Then create a list of different customer goals that go along with that. And then when we think about the next stage, which is all about designing content, of course all of this also then feeds into that stage and makes sure that you have a lot of the information that you can then base the design and the content onto that. So think about content and functionality acting together in synergy. That's really important. You really need to satisfy your goals and the needs of your customers. And if you already have an existing mobile product, then think about what are the different maybe problems or challenges that you have currently when you want to rethink or think about a more strategic approach? What is keeping your visitors actually from reaching their goals? So do they not find the information about maybe ticket prices? Can they not book because there's a link not working? Is the right content and functionality available? So think about all of these different things. And if you don't have a mobile product yet, then think about what content and functionality do you actually need? Also, what functions should go with that? And then really think from a mobile user experience design point of view. That really means, think about it from a visitor point of view. Think about the different user journeys that somebody is going through and how the user experience is matching up to that. And if you can get help, from a user experience designer, then definitely do get that. The next stage focuses then on implementation and delivery. So really choose between responsive design and also different, choose either between responsive design or mobile websites, native web or hybrid apps. Those are all different tools that you have available. So how can you then successfully deliver content and functionality that you actually need? Also revisit your customer goals again. and identify any special functionality that's needed, such as maybe push notifications, location-based filtering, or other tools that you might want. And then select the solution that actually caters best to your needs. So it doesn't have to be something very fancy and very complicated if that's not needed to actually deliver your goals. Now when we look at marketing, mobile marketing really focuses on delivering a message at the right time and place. So select the right tools and to promote your mobile offering. Paid search is an example, app discovery websites, newsletters and social media. Also make sure you consider your audience and of course your goals, and then decide how mobile marketing actually fits with your audience and their environment as well, because you want that really, you want to take the right approach with that. Now, when we talk about performance tracking, it can really give you direct feedback. So identify whether you achieve your goals and areas of improvement. There's a variety of different mobile solutions that can help you with that, so make sure you identify the right one to actually track your performance, and then establish different ground rules. So how will you measure your mobile success? For example, what are the key milestones for your mobile campaign, and how will you know what you have, that you actually have achieved your set goals? So again, you have to really then think about the mobile strategy approach to different stages. And a couple of takeaways as well at the end. So really define your goals and analytics. Think about the user experience and also your customers. Make sure you establish the design and content that caters to your needs. Consider functionality. Think about a different way of really marketing your mobile solution and the different products. And then choose the right tools to actually track your performance, and also make sure that you establish ground rules so you know how you can actually measure your performance in the best way. So next up in the program, I'm really looking forward to hearing from Björn, who's the founder of Profits, and also Daan Richards about the very interesting work that they have been doing with a number of clients, both in Antwerp and also other parts of Belgium and beyond.
So I'm really pleased to be joined by Björn Jooz, who's the founder of a brilliant agency we've discovered called Profits Agency, and Daan Richard, who's the strategy director. Now, the reason we've asked you to join us for this last program about mobile is because we found that you had been doing some really, really interesting work in this field. So before we get into some of the work you've been doing, just tell us a little bit about what it is that you do as a company.
We're a communication agency with a truly digital DNA, so we've been around for 10 years. And we work for different industries, ranging from retail over telco, but also a lot on the cultural and the museal industry.
Great. And of course, we've seen mobile technology has really, really changed things when it comes to the museum and cultural landscape, but also the tourism landscape. And I think most would agree for the better. I know you've been doing some fantastic work with the Rubens Museum in Antwerp, where you've actually been using beacon technology to do something very innovative there. Why don't you tell us about that? I think first of all, maybe start by telling us a bit about what beacon technology is.
Well, iBeacon technology basically is a technology with which you can have your device communicate through a very low energy Bluetooth signal. So it allows you to kind of add a digital layer to the physical experience you have. You can add a beacon somewhere in order to make the place, as it were, communicate with the person who is on that spot at that moment.
The beacon actually does nothing more than discovering that you're there. It knows how far you're from that point. It's got a range of about actively 30 meters. It knows how far you are. And it sends a signal to your mobile phone, to an application that says this person is at that spot. Then the application withdraws information from the server and it sends the information to the application and it shows it to the person. So it's nothing more than a beacon, as the word itself says. We developed an application that was installed on an iPad, but it also works or worked. It was a proof of concept on a smartphone. And when people entered the museum, we gave them this iPad, and we put beacons in the different rooms of the Rubens house. So when you enter the room, it identified you and it gave you information, for example, about a painting in the room. But we also added gamification parts where you had to find information in the museum about the different wives from Rubens, and then the gamification way you had to say this was the first wife, this was Isabella Brent was the first wife, the second wife is her, and when you had that, some more information was opened on the iPad. Another point that we gave was when you took a look at a picture, we gave you the X-ray picture of the painting, which means that we showed you what is beneath, which is below the painting itself.
So you got Superman eyes through your device, right? You can really see details that you would never see when you were just there. So it's really about adding value to the physical experience.
When you were in the garden, it's really an impressive garden. We added an augmented reality layer. So if you put the iPad in front of you and you turned around, you could see what it looked like something like 300 years ago. So it was a whole experience. It was an immersive experience where we put a layer on top of reality to give you more information, to give some gamification to the visitor.
Wow, so that's a really inspiring example, and I think actually an example of using mobile smartphones to their fullest extent, making use of all the technology that's available. And the experience you've created is, yeah, as you said, truly immersive. It really brings people engaging with them at the very kind of raw level with the actual experience of visiting. And I think this is where we see clear, huge opportunities for the tourism industry to effectively improve their product before anything else. Tell us a bit about the work you did with another museum also in Antwerp called the MUSE Museum. I know you did a fantastic piece of work there, which was also very immersive, and also you took a different approach. So tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, we were asked to do the international launch of the MUSE Museum with a very small budget, as most of the musea often have very small budgets. First, we thought the MUSE Museum, if you've ever seen it, it's a very impressive building. It's innovative architecture. It's like this bombastic building, and we thought we can once again show this in all the ways possible to communicate about the MUSE. But on the other hand, we thought, why not make people give them the opportunity to visit the MUSE from wherever they are over the world? So what we did is first time ever. We put several people on each floor of the MUSE. It has 9 floors. And we gave them, we fabricated ourselves actually, something like they could hold on here with a smartphone attached to it using the camera. And we had through the smartphone screen, we communicated with the guides and they filmed what they were. So when you were, for example, in another country, in I don't know, in England, you could go to the website and you can say I want this person to be my guide, and then you could steer the guide wherever you wanted. So he filmed or she filmed the work, and then you could say using your arrows, but also with your voice, go a little to the right, a little closer. Can you take this detail? Then go to the next picture. It's a beautiful building which is next to the center, and that you could say I want to take a look outside, so go to the window and show me what it's like to be in the MUSE.
Wow, so we hear more and more about virtual reality, and I think this is about as virtual reality as you could get. It's also a great example of how people are using mobile, not just for that physical in-destination or in-trip experience, but also using it as a kind of engaging tool, even in their leisure and at home, where they're actually able to have a very personal link to their mobile, which gives them a different view on the outside world. And I think the example you've just showed us is brilliant, because it shows how they're able to experience something so far away, but as if they were there, thanks to the mobile at both ends of the spectrum. I guess it's almost sounds like a very interactive and engaging video call, but it's a brilliant way of highlighting the product in such a rich way. I know you're also working in a number of other areas, and you've developed a pretty cool initiative called Crump. So tell us about that, and I think in particular what the opportunities that come out of that are.
Well, Crump is basically an app that we're working on. That's a real mobile-first app because it's all about localization. It's all about where you are at that certain moment. So it's not like Twitter where you follow persons and you get the tweets they are sending wherever they are. You can still follow persons within Crumps, but you will see content based on where you are, also from people that you're not following and that you might not know. So it is a tool to really show content whenever it is really useful. So you could think of uses for companies or in tourism. It's basically adding a layer on reality based on several.
Actually, you to link pictures or texts or drawings in a very easy way to locations. So you open the application, the first thing you see is the crumb in a 500-meter distance. There's this very complicated algorithm that will show the crumbs that are most relevant to you, that are from people you know, people you follow, brands you follow, all those kind of stuff. Then you can like those crumbs, you can share those crumbs. But what makes the crumbs so special is that you can only discover the crumbs when you're at that place. So I can, let's say, I'm visiting a fun park with my kids, and what I can do is I can take a picture and I can put it on my Facebook wall, and then everybody will see it, and then it's forgotten. Or I can use Crump and I can take a picture of my kids that are doing something very stupid or funny, and I link it to that place and I share it with my friends. And next time when my friends are at that fun park, they will see like there's a message from you. And the fun thing is they will see the message with what they can respond to it. But the most important thing that is contextual. And we really believe also in a touristic environment that contextual messages are the strongest one. You're not interested in seeing what people do when they're on a trip, or you might be interested, but it's something you forget. But you're interested if you're at the same place, what people did on that place. It's like going out with your friends and a friend is missing, he's not there that evening, and you do some silly things in a bar and you take a picture and you link it to the bar, and next time your friend is there, the one that missed out the party, and he can see like, oh, this and this and this has happened that evening. So it's really linking things to certain places. It's linking emotions, and it might be very interesting for because there's trails as well where you can link messages to each other. I can imagine a hotel, for example, having their favorite trail in Brussels, where you can say like, okay, when you're visiting us, also follow our trail with the most fancy restaurants, which we recommend, those kind of stuff.
So
but it's always
that's
context.
Really exciting. I think you've really demonstrated how you can really dramatically enhance the experience using technology. And it serves many, many benefits, including just making the overall experience better, but also helping to feed into people's interests in terms of being able to bring in a social aspect to that, an interactive aspect to that. And actually, I think what you've spoken about with Crumbs is a great example of how you can turn anything, even if it's not an amazing physical experience, into something quite unique and special.
I think on the touristic part, I give you one more example. There's this huge project at the Belgian coast in Knokke-Heist, where by 2020 they have a lot of new buildings. There's this very impressive new mayor house from the same architects than the MUSE, which will be built. And they had this this exposition or exhibition where they showed what will happen at the end of last year. And when closing down the exhibition, all the pictures they showed and all the designs and all the plans are now crumbs in Knokkehuis. So when you walk around, you can see like on this place, this building will arouse in 3 years. All those kind of things are possible.
Wow, brilliant. So I guess to sum up, what would be interesting to get your thoughts on for any businesses watching this is, where do you see mobile technology coming in to the overall mix? We traditionally perhaps thought very much around marketing and around the opportunities that it creates for marketing. But what's your view on mobile technology?
Well, I think the parallel between Crump and the MUSE Museum and the Rubens House is that we developed something that's a service using mobile technology, but they're all parallel. They're all permanent services. They could be permanent services if you want them to be. But because we used the technology in a relevant way, and also because we were one of the first to use the technologies, we got an amazing marketing power. We got an amazing free publicity power that made our applications go all over the world. But the main thing is, I think, to be relevant and to use the technology in a way that people really get extra value.
I think that especially in tourism, there's 3 phases when you're a tourist. When you're at home, before you go somewhere, you start looking for information, and you want to book something. There, I think we all know the websites, booking.com, all kind of websites where you can book hotels, where you can find information about places. But it's always, those are the things that you do before leaving. So suppose you're at home and you book a trip to a city. But then the big question is, and that's where mobile comes in, and what is the true added value of mobile is, once you're there, you have to discover things. It might be a mobile guide that you use. It might be information from, as I said, the hotel where you're in that gives you, at this moment, they will hand you over this paper and say, like, we have 3 restaurants that we offer you, and those kind of things. I think mobile technology allows you to, on the spot and in a contextual way, give information that you can or will not need when you're at home. It's different. It's a different kind of communication. And in our opinion, delivering this kind of a service is the best communication. If I'm in a hotel that delivers me this kind of service, like I'm going to help you exploring the city with in a different or in a specific taste, because the fact that I choose a specific hotel, like Bloom Hotel, already shows that I like a kind of style. When this hotel then offers me an exploration of the city in the same style, that's the best service they can give me. I can also buy a guide, but that's one fits all. The main thing about mobile and about this technology and even about Crump is it's one fits few, because it's so specific, and that's the strength of mobile.
So I guess it's very much about strengthening the brand strengths of a product or a company, and extending that into the overall experience and contact that customer has with that product throughout the whole experience. So if you're known for architecture or a very cultural aspect on the place, then developing that much further beyond your own product really helps strengthen the overall identity of your brand. And I think you highlighted a brilliant thing, focusing on the role that mobile technology can play as a service. Actually has brilliant marketing wins, particularly if you build innovation and being the first into that. Has fantastic PR and marketing value off the back of that. And I think the work you've done has really shown that. So I would just like to say thank you very much to both Björn and Daan for joining us. Really exciting examples. People can obviously go and find out much more about those examples by visiting your website, where you've got the details laid out into more in-depth case studies. And it's been a great pleasure having you with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You're welcome. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
So some really inspiring ideas there shared by Profits Agency. I think a lot to start thinking about how to do really creative things with mobile and how to tap into some of the newest technologies, such as beacons. Well, we're going to go now to our next interview. I'd like to also just remind you to tweet along and get into the conversation. Use the hashtag #MyTourismBiz. But let's go now to Lukáš Nevosád. He is the co-founder and CEO of Tripomatic, and I caught up with him earlier to find out how they have approached the mobile space. Hi, so I'm really pleased to be joined by Lukáš Nevosád from Tripomatic, and you're very welcome to the program. Thanks very much for joining us. You're actually the founder of Tripomatic, so why don't you start out by telling us a little bit about what Tripomatic is?
Okay, thanks, Nick. So Tripomatic is a trip planning app, and it basically what it does is that it suggests you things that you can see or do in your destination, and allows you to create daily itineraries for your trip. We also have mobile apps that help you navigate the city and offer offline functionality.
Now, I'm particularly impressed with your work in mobile, which is why we wanted to speak to you today to find out more about that. But first of all, I think one thing that stands out very strong is that you have taken a very different approach to many businesses selling online, and that is that you've really focused on building awareness around the destinations itself and really focusing on content. So just tell us a little bit about the reason for that.
Well, we had this idea originally that we want to be useful, and that's what we do. So first you need to somehow attract the customer, and then you can try to sell them along the way. So the travel space is really full, and it doesn't really make sense to create another site which would only offer hotels and wouldn't bring any added value to that.
So that's a really good piece of advice that we've been telling businesses throughout this process, is the importance of content to actually build an interest and an awareness of your brand. So you've obviously been very successful in that. What role has mobile played in your business from the beginning?
Well, from the beginning, we thought that this is a perfect example what people would use on mobile devices. So mobile devices are equipped with GPS, and they know your exact location, and they have fairly large display. So it's perfect for navigation, for using maps, and of course when you're traveling to an unknown city, so some kind of map or some kind of navigation is the first thing that you need. So it's just a natural match to do that on mobile.
Now, tell me a bit about the sort of usage patterns that you've seen from your visitors and how the mobile visitor is differing from other types of visitors to your site.
Well, we observe what is common in the industry, which means that on mobile the peak interaction times are actually in the evening, and also we especially designed Tripomatic so it works with multiple devices that the user might have. It's called multi-screen approach, and we see that about a third of our users are actually using more than one device. And usually, when they're traveling, it's either their phone or iPad or some laptop. So we need to be able to offer the same on these devices, or to seamlessly communicate between those devices. And then different things are done on different devices. So normally the user plans on a big screen. You need big screen for the map. So they either use iPad or computer for actually planning the trip. And while on the trip, so most of the people just use their smartphone because it's something they can carry in their pocket. And I think that's about it. Yeah.
So clear differences in how people are using these different devices, and how does that force you to react as a business in terms of how you actually design those different mobile experiences from a mobile to a tablet to a desktop?
well, we try to focus on the usage patterns which are for the particular device. So, for example, on mobile phone, we focus primarily on people that use this in their destination, while on the computer, so we know that the usage is is usually before they actually set on the trip. So it affects what we prioritize in the design of the user interface and so on. But at first we tried to have separate functionality that we thought, okay, people will only use computers to actually plan their trip and only use smartphones while on the trip. But it didn't really work out, and based on the feedback, we realized that okay, so maybe the smartphones are actually a nice way that you can just plan your trip or dream of visiting some place and so on. And I think it stems from the behavior of the users, that maybe in the evening, maybe already in the bed, they're trying and they're researching what they will do the next day, and where to go and what will they do. So based on this, we had to provide basically the same functionality across all platforms.
So that's really interesting advice, because we would traditionally expect people to think about the mobile just being an in-trip experience, but as your own findings have helped you to understand, people are actually using it at all stages in the day, and also at all stages in the trip planning process. And I guess this is something that businesses really need to take on board, especially when it comes to the importance of having a mobile optimized site, even if they're not serving customers in the destination through that site. Tell me, what is your take on the different uses for mobile web compared to mobile apps? Where do you think the two come into play in travel?
Well, for us specifically, we have to have mobile app, since the mobile web experience is not there yet. It's just slow when you work with the map. You don't have access to core smartphone functionality and so on. But for other businesses, I would. It really depends. And for example, for I don't know, hotel chain or something, there really has to be a use case to have actually a mobile app versus just to have a mobile-friendly website.
So it's important, before putting all of your budget into developing an app, that you have a clear need and your users are going to use that. Would it be fair to say that an app is really like a relationship, and it's something that you have to give something back if your users are going to actually keep using the app?
Yeah, exactly. So the main thing is, well, you can build the app. It's not even expensive anymore. But the thing is, you have to market the app to the users. You have to make them to download the app. So why would they do that if the app doesn't offer any functionality which they cannot find on your mobile website? And you have to somehow make the users to come back to the app and not just open it, use it once and delete it. So I think in some use cases this might be actually difficult, and it's also with the total cost of ownership of the app. Not only you have to pay for actually developing the app, but you also have to update the content there, and you have to update the app for new technologies, new smartphones, and so on. So with the total cost of ownership, I would say that for a lot of businesses, it doesn't really make any sense to develop an app versus investing the same money or maybe less money into the mobile web experience.
I think that's great advice coming from a business which has actually been very successful in developing mobile apps. But of course, this has been core to your business strategy. So you're in a very different position. And I think for a lot of small businesses, that's really important advice, to not throw all of their money into doing something which might not deliver the results. So I guess taking away from your comments here, consider the cost not only of development but also the ongoing cost of maintaining and updating the app. Ensure that there's a use case scenario that's well defined and it can actually deliver your visitors something. think about whether the app will actually go beyond what the mobile website will do in terms of using the technology. And also, I guess, consider also the loyalty aspects, the need to retain and keep a relationship with customers over either throughout a journey or over a period of time, with customers coming back and returning again and again.
Yeah, exactly.
So tell me, what's for any business which is thinking about their mobile strategy, what would your key piece of advice be for any business to start thinking about in order to make the right decision going forward?
Well, I would say that the first thing they have to think right away is to have a really good mobile web experience. And nowadays the standard is to have what is called responsive website, which means that you have normal website, but it behaves nicely on mobile devices. It's also the cheapest option that they can do, since you only have one content, you have one CMS. It's only 2 different style sheets or something on mobile devices. That's just must have, and everybody should have it. One thing to note here is that we see that quite often, especially with some hotel chains and so on. They're trying to be very designy, and they're trying to have really artistic experience on the website, which just doesn't work on mobile. So on mobile, I really want to find, I don't know, your phone number or what is your address, or I need to find something really fast. And when you present me a lot of images, a lot of videos, and I don't know, very very artistic websites, so it's very hard to navigate it even on desktop and especially on mobile devices. So that's one thing to avoid on mobile devices, definitely. I think there are nice ways to be creative. For example, with hotels, you can create an app which actually brings value to the user. I don't know. It could maybe one day unlock the door to your room. It can check you in automatically. You can order room service from the app and so on. So these are use cases which make the app useful and which make the people to download the app in the first place. If you only creating an app where you show the same information as on the website, so it doesn't really provide any value for the user. In any industry there are 2 kinds of businesses. One are the businesses which are actually product focused, and they're really developing their product and they're trying to just offer the best and do not invest so much in marketing. And then there are companies which basically maybe achieve the same, but they don't have such a great product, but they invest a lot of money into marketing. So for us, the first approach worked much better than the other.
So you're a product, focus on your product and the rest will come.
Yeah, actually so.
Great, okay. Lukáš, thank you very much for sharing those insights with us. I think all the businesses watching this will find this immensely valuable. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Nick.
So, Laura, that is it. You've seen lots of case studies. Mm-hmm. You've had a lot of different ideas about mobile. I think while this was playing, we were really talking about mobile is just so huge that we really can't do it justice in these 90 minutes that we have today. But I guess looking at the different case studies and the things that you've seen, I'll ask you again, do you think mobile has a role in your business? Where do you think it sits?
Well, I said earlier that I was only considering it during the service taking place, let's say. But yeah, it does have a role in all stages of the planning and yeah. I guess I still have to figure out how to do that in my business. These were really great case studies and really great.
I think what we've seen today is that you're very well placed to begin with, because more than 50% of businesses still don't have mobile optimized websites, which is shocking. Mm-hmm. We know how important it is, but of course it's not easy for everybody. Mm-hmm. Your business does. Yeah. Perhaps because you built your website in the last year. Yeah. So you've kind of been able to take advantage of that. And actually, I've had a look at your website, and I think it's great. We did find a small bug, which
I'll fix.
You're going to fix very soon. But I thought it was great because actually, when you land on it, you direct people in the two ways. Mm-hmm. So you really steer your audience, so you can give them a personalized experience as they continue. Mm-hmm. So I think you're actually in a really good position at the very beginning, which is great.
Thanks.
What do you think about the opportunities then to engage and find new customers in the destination? So I know you work a lot in Barcelona, doing Surya retreats in Barcelona. Yeah. Do you see maybe a different market opportunity emerging because of mobile?
Definitely. I just, we're talking about this. I think that finding those tourists that are already in the destination and that maybe they don't want to follow a 5 or 6 day retreat, but maybe they want to join for one day. So there's an opportunity to find those last-minute customers for a one-day excursion with some yoga, some culture, maybe some gastronomy, or whatever's planned for the day. So I think there's some more work there for me to.
So it's really exciting, actually. You've been focusing throughout the whole series on the key markets where you see your potential customers, but there's this on-the-spot market, this last-minute market, which you would never be able to reach easily if it wasn't for mobile. I guess there's still some work to do, but we've seen some great ideas about mobile advertising, especially through social media, and also knowing where people are and also what they're interested in. So you could easily target yogis in Barcelona on a holiday and really create a great offer. So I think you have
it's a great idea. It's
brilliant business opportunity there. I would just like to also say a huge thank you for all of the contribution and I guess the reassurance that you've given a lot of other businesses through this series.
I think it's me who I received the reassurance, so thank you, and thanks to the European Commission for the series.
Before we say goodbye, let's we do actually have other videos coming, but before we say goodbye to you, let's see what people have been saying online about mobile. So we have a tweet from Edo Colombo. And Edo has been saying that he loves talking about Beacon as the next big thing in tourism. So he's really grateful for us covering that. We also have a tweet from Touristic talking about crumbs from Profits Agency. I thought this was, I know you were mentioning this as well as
I thought the app was a great idea. I love it. I love it.
Great way to discover what he describes as contextualized memories from fellows. He said it's very nice, and he heard it in the video, so I'm glad you like that. We also have Mario. He says, thrilling insights from Profits Agency on mobile technology. So I guess Profits Agency have been inspiring quite a lot of people with some of their great work. Well, I guess that brings us to a point where we have to say goodbye to you, at least. So thank you very much for joining us on this journey. I hope you will be able to take on board all of the learnings and move forward and build them into your business. And who knows, maybe we'll get a chance to have you back sometime in the future and continue this series.
That would be nice.
So thanks very much, Laura, for joining us.
Thank you.
And keep us posted. Keep tweeting with My Tourism Biz about what you've been doing. So next up we have an interview with Mr. Pedro Ortún from the European Commission. We wanted to understand a bit more about what the Commission's aspirations were behind this series and what we are trying to achieve here. So let's hear what he had to say. Joining us on this last in a 6-part pilot series for SMEs to support them with all the digital changes that are taking place in tourism. Over the last 6 programs, we've seen case studies from more than 25 different experts and businesses, which has been really inspirational. We've also tackled 6 of the biggest key challenges facing businesses today in the online space. And we've seen young business grow and develop, and we've been able to discuss and talk about the challenges in that process over this 6-part series. As the series draws to a close, we would love to hear a bit more about the Commission's intentions and ideas behind it. So perhaps you can just share with us some more light on what it is that you hope the Commission will do to support the ICT and Tourism series, and what it is that you hope you will be able to take away from this as the Commission.
Yes, it's very simple. We do think that these digital challenges are among the most important for any type of business in Europe, for any type of citizen and consumer, and in particular for tourism, which is an activity which is based on information gathering and a direct relation with the consumer at the end. And the digital tools can provide a big help for all European companies, and in particular for those who are less time, less resources, which are maybe less skills, except the very young ones, to deal with this type of challenges. And our aim is to exhaust all the possible tools to support them and to improve their business, to improve their competitiveness, and to provide the best tourism experience to the different type of tourists, European and non-Europeans, who will travel around Europe.
So ultimately improving the tourism industry as a whole by working with the businesses.
Exactly.
And working with those businesses, what do you think the value that businesses will be able to take away from this series themselves?
Well, I hope I've seen several of them, and I think it's a good experience to see other cases in which young entrepreneurs are sharing their views, are highlighting the problems that they might have from time to time, and discussing on possible improvements and good practices. So I think I hope it's this tool, which we plan, by the way, to prolong and even to expand in the forthcoming months, will have been useful. We will get around more than 10,000 followers on stream. So I think it's a good experience. We are quite happy with it, and we will improve it if possible even, and expand it also all over Europe in order to allow that those who cannot, in particular the SMEs, who can't come to our meetings in Brussels or in the different capitals, can take profit of this type of e-learning tool, which is also an important way of improving their management of their businesses.
Now, I know your team has been very busy working on new programs and putting them into place. Tell us a bit about some of the things that businesses and the industry as a whole can look forward to in the coming months and years.
Well, that's a good point in the sense that we are just getting the proposals or the bids for a call for tenders we launch, in which we want to engage in 4 main strands of action. First is to go on with this type of webinars. That's the first thing. The other thing we will do also in parallel is a survey to monitor periodically the uptake of the level of digitalization of the tourist businesses. The third issue is an effort on improving the content and the access and the facility of our tourist business portal, which is a series which includes already since several months a series of tutorials, of practical tools to go through all different elements of a normal management of a business, and which we need to improve both on content and on visibility and facility of access. And finally, we will engage in a wider range of communication campaign activities to disseminate all these tools, to promote and to develop concrete events in as much as possible places of the European Union. We also will put all these, and we will also upgrade and improve our own tourism portal in the Europa website, which includes all the type of tools, not only the digital ones, but all the other activities in which we are engaged. And I wanted to conclude by saying that this is one of the 8 key priorities of the new Commission, of the new Commissioner, Madame Bieńkowska, who has identified and has spelled out in a recent speech end of January in Madrid that she wants to develop at least a set of 8 common actions, and the digitalization of all type of tourist businesses is one of them. But we want to put it in the framework of a comprehensive approach to facilitate what we call the sustainable competitiveness of all European type of companies, and also the sustainable growth of the tourism activity, in particular in the European Union, the creation of jobs. We do need jobs, and tourism has been one of the most resilient sectors during the last 5-6 years of the crisis. And also at the end, all these with the main aim to provide the best possible tourism experience to all tourists, be it Europeans or non-Europeans, which is our main aim of any type of European policy, and in particular in tourism, of course. That's it.
Ortún, thank you very much for sharing.
Thank you.
So that was Mr. Pedro Ortún from the European Commission telling us about why they believe this series is so important. Well, we've actually reached nearly the end of this 6-part series. It's a sad moment for us. It was a pilot, and we weren't sure how popular it was going to be, and actually what we've seen is thousands and thousands of people have been watching these online, so we really are very pleased with how it's gone. We've only been able to touch these topics at the very surface. You've actually not seen Ramona and myself together on this program. We're always doing different roles, but I guess, Ramona, what's been the best part of it for you?
I think just the sharing of all of the different perspectives and experiences, both from some of the experts that we have been hearing from, and also a lot of the different case studies, a lot of the businesses from all over Europe. So it was great to see sort of the wealth of knowledge also among the community that we have using the hashtag MyTourismBiz. So I think that was really great just to hear the wealth of it all.
I think what's been great for me is actually finding and seeing so many European innovations, whether it's businesses doing great things with iBeacons and things like this, or whether it's actually small tourism businesses which maybe don't have all of the expertise in the world, but they've managed to understand what their customer is doing and how they are meeting them and communicate with them in the right way. I think that's been a really big eye-opener, and I think a lot of businesses can learn from that even if they don't have all of the best skills in the world, they can still do great things online.
Yeah.
So
it's all of the little things that count and then add up and really make your business so unique. So I think, the businesses just need to keep staying at it, just keep improving. They also can rewatch all of the different live events that we have done if they want to revisit some of the things. So it's still a great knowledge that's out there, and we hope that we get many, many more viewers, and that sort of the message of the whole program and the whole series is also carried forward.
now, if you've enjoyed this series, you can actually take the program and embed it in your own website. We actively encourage you to do that, so you can make it available to your members, your industry, or whoever else. And we really encourage you to just tell others about this. And if you did want to go back over anything you've seen in this program, don't forget to hit the Back to Chapters button. But for now, we're just going to hand it back to our experts to have the final word. We've caught up with a number of our experts and asked them what their key message for anybody watching this would be. So let's hear what they had to say. And from us, I guess it's goodbye.
Thank you and goodbye.
Thanks for watching.
Hi, I'm Paul Stephen. I'm the CEO here at Sagittarius Marketing. We're a digital agency that specialises in travel sector marketing. One of the things that we're finding with many of our clients now is that rather than focus all their attention on lots of broad marketing, trying to put people into the top of that sort of sales funnel, now with their marketing, they've possibly already topped out or hit a potential glass ceiling in terms of the size of the market. So now we're trying to work with brands to look at what they can do to focus what they're working on to actually their ideal customer. Look at where what it is actually they sell, the niche who that might sell to, the demographic, the age, the sex, all those sorts of things, and look at where those people are. Are they the sort of people we can find on Facebook, and we can then engage with them there because they fit right. We can look at the database that they've got from previous purchases and try and build a profile of those people, so that you can then find where to market to those people, rather than try and go out to everybody. Also, very important to understand that travel is one of those things that clients are very likely to come back to you again if they like the experience they had. So again, where can your digital marketing or digital fit into that whole holiday experience? Not just the buying experience, but the customer service side of things, what you send to them prior to departure, when they come back or during, that sort of thing. So that actually the commodity of the holiday itself, which they could potentially buy from anywhere, is something that they want to come back to you for because of the way you've delivered it.
So my advice for any small or medium-sized tourism business is to really try in all ways to share your personality, to share what's special about you, about your family history, about your business, about yourself. Guests like to part of your life before they come and while they are there, and they become part of a small community. This is probably the biggest difference between a small business and one of multinational, hotel chain, so on. From our experience, probably one of the biggest advantages of small businesses is to not be afraid of negative reviews. Try and see these negative reviews as the biggest opportunity you have to express what you think is your point of view, or even to say sorry, you were not up to your expectations. To try and talk and be like a friend. If your friend tells you, oh, you've been obnoxious today, oh, you haven't treated me well, or so on, but you think it's not right, try to talk to them, try to be sincere, open yourself to this. And most of the time, see that this will be to your advantage, because somebody else will come and will read that review and will see that you're just honest. Humans can make mistakes all the time, but they will appreciate it. Don't leave negative reviews unanswered. Try to answer all reviews, of course, within a normal time span, within a week or within 10 days at most. But really try. Don't be afraid of the negative reviews. I think this is just my tip for everybody.
So how they say you are what you eat. And I think, being French, of course, this is what I'm going to say, but applied to business, you are what you sell. So you really need to be very clear about your product. Is it an expensive product? If it's an expensive product, then your marketing and your communication is going to have to reflect that. It's going to have to sound expensive. If it's cheap, then, it's exactly the same, but don't pretend to be something that you're not. Yes, so be very, very clear about who your clients are, what they want, and what it is that your product actually achieves, and how you have to communicate those achievements, those benefits, those features to your clients.
I think the most important thing for businesses that are looking to get more results out of social media is to just approach it quite personally. Think about social media as a personal communication tool with your potential customers and your existing customers. Think about how you can add value to people's social media experience. So think about sharing some of your secret sauce, some of your information that the customers wouldn't necessarily know. Give them tips about latest trends, or 5 reasons to visit a certain region this year. So just trying to give back to the community, and people will enjoy following you that way, and you'll be able to establish credibility in your brand. And I think also try to concentrate on 1 or 2 platforms is key. Rather than trying to be weak on lots of platforms, just try to be good on 1 or 2, and then just learn what works and what feels right for you as a business, and you're sure to get a good amount of following and engagement in the future.
Okay, so my key takeaway for SMEs would be to engage in content marketing and storytelling to connect to their potential customers. I think SMEs need to think about who their target group is online and what the interests of these target group are, and then share content and stories that fit into the way they think about about the world and about taking holidays. And then using short images, using images and short videos to connect to them through their own blog and Instagram and such. The idea would be to try to be different than what your competitors are doing and sharing content and staying authentic at the same time. One important thing to remember here is that it's important to take your time as an SME to build up something online. Don't give up too fast. And then connect to other online storytellers, for example, travel bloggers, Instagrammers, and maybe local influencers in your area, and help them, and they will help you back and share your story. So that's a main takeaway for me. And when thinking about content marketing and storytelling, try to think about the different stages that you can connect to your customers and potential customers. Of course, you have the inspiration phase when people are getting inspired, and then the further phase when people are searching for information and then eventually booking. But don't forget about the phase when the customer is actually experiencing your area or the area where your SME is based. And don't forget to provide them useful content when they are actually experiencing your area. For example, it could be a good idea to offer your customers your favorite itinerary in your area as a digital tour, which actually improves their experience locally, and you can connect their experience to your business. And as we all know, sharing good experiences starts within the destination these days. It's a good way for SMEs to gain visibility. So yeah, that's it. That's the key takeaways for me.